Tonight we continue our series of interviews with candidates for Boston City Council in the preliminary election on September 24th. Our guest is running for the seat being vacated by Mark Siomo in Allston-Brighton. We'd like to welcome one of the candidates in District 9, Dan Daly. Thank you very much for being with us, Dan.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Dan, you've got an interesting mixed background. Part of this is in the building trades. Talk about that.
I'm a proud 31-year member of Local 103 with the electricians in Boston. I've been an active member in our local, helping out with veterans issues, community issues, giving back to the community a lot through my local union. It's been a great opportunity there.
Part of that was helping people find jobs. What did that involve exactly?
Well, being active in the community, we try to find community jobs for community residents. Allston-Brighton is very busy right now with construction, and I'm on a lot of neighborhood task force and impact advisory groups, and I try to make sure that residents from Allston-Brighton have a seat at the table and work opportunities there.
Well, more development means more jobs, but you know, you've also been the head of the Brighton-Allston Improvement Association, and if I know anything about neighborhood associations, is that more development isn't always necessarily better. So how do you balance those two things?
It absolutely isn't always better. What we want is respectful, responsible development that gives back to the neighborhood in the form of jobs, in the form of affordable housing, green space, improved infrastructure. There's a lot to it.
I want to ask you about the housing part because one thing that you're very interested in is workforce housing, which I understand is home ownership. Why is that so important?
Well, throughout the most recent years, a lot of people seem to be leaving Allston-Brighton, raising families, and they really can't afford to live in Allston-Brighton. Affordable housing is on the table with every project that's proposed, of any bigger project, but workforce housing is something a little different. People in the neighborhood that might make a little bit more money than an affordable family can apply for workforce housing and help to keep families in the neighborhood.
Of course, another issue that many candidates around the city are talking about are protections for renters who are facing displacement. Do you think the city should have something stronger in that area right now?
Of course they should. Any resident has to be well represented, whether they be a homeowner or a renter in our neighborhood.
Great. Now, you also mentioned infrastructure. Now, this is a neighborhood, I know parts of it are not all that far from downtown Boston, but I think you have some unmet needs in transportation. What would you like to see done about that?
Well, a lot of our streets are getting repaved now. We have the Mass Pike mega project coming down very, very soon, and the MBTA is having all their problems. So what a lot of our impact advisory groups have been doing lately is asking for commitments from developers to start a shuttle service, which will bring residents that don't seem to have cars, and mostly on bicycles, to Harvard Square, to the Red Line, or to the Longwood Medical area, or to Kendall, or to the brand new Boston Landing train station, which is great.
This has been on the news, and we're talking with Dan Daly, candidate for City Council in District 9. Of course, another issue is how soon you have additional commuter rail in this area, and that's connected with development. Do you want to push up the timetable on that?
I'd love to see the timetable pushed up on that. There's a proposed west station between Harvard University and Boston University that Harvard is committed to contributing a lot of money to it, and that has to be built. And also there's an option for a light rail along the commuter rail tracks that would be a wonderful addition, because the commuter rail is already jammed up right now. It's overcapacitated as we speak, and a lot of the trains are going right by people waiting for a lift down to South Station.
You also mentioned infrastructure. What about the bike lanes? Do you see some areas that really need some more attention?
We just have a brand new bike lane on Brighton Avenue. There's mixed reviews coming in from people. I think it's a great idea. We have to try it at least. It's a bus-bike lane combination. And there's one particular bus line, the 57 bus, that seems to take about an hour to go from Brighton Center to Kenmore Square. And if we can move that along and move many people along on those buses, I think it's worth a try.
You're also an immigrant. Do you have any thoughts about things that cities should be doing right now, maybe to protect immigrants from federal enforcement in some way?
Well, I'm a product of immigration. Along with my 11 brothers and
A
sisters.
descendant in it,
Yes,
like a lot of us.
Proud first generation. Parents came from Ireland, and so I relate to the immigration issues very much. We want good people in Allston-Brighton and across the city of Boston. We want bad people to be dealt with the way bad people should be dealt with. Innocent, good folks should not be rounded up just because they're not legal status. If you create crime or do bad things, you should be dealt with.
By the way, finally, keeping families in the district also depends sometimes on schools and the options out there. Anything you'd like to see improved about that?
Well, I think they should be preschool for anybody who wants preschool. That's something that's really important. And walkable, sustainable schools. Everyone should have a school of their choice and be able to walk to it, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Dan Daly, candidate for City Council in District 9, Allston-Brighton. Up ahead, the report from Dorchester with Jennifer Smith.